How are we all doing? Thanks for coming out. First off, I'll just say a quick thanks to Kathy and everyone else organising this event to get all you people out here. It's really great to see. So give yourselves a round of applause for coming out. More fans? So yeah, as Kathy mentioned, I'm from CLCSA. A bit of a background on what we do. So it initially started, Peter Horton, who is the property owner. He was kind enough to let us utilise the land that he works on. It's a landfill site out at 86 Liston Road, Lonsdale. We've pretty much had assembly of people growing and gathering. We've built a new court building. Well, it's just basically a big assembly hall where everyone comes in, learns, educates themselves. And learns and educates themselves about the truth of the matter and where the legal system really stands. As Kathy mentioned as well, we do many things like to get the community garden going. We've linked in with a community garden just down the road as well. We've actually connected with the Indigenous elders because the site is actually on Rumanjiri land. So big kudos to them. So ironically as well, they're actually the law tribe of the Indigenous mob. So the irony being it's a common law court. So we're working with them, and through that we're actually developing the Indigenous Cultural Centre, named after a lovely gentleman named Kano Walker. Unfortunately he passed a while ago, but he's very strong, heart-centred, very strong spiritual connection, and so it's utilising what he was working towards in terms of Warajin, so black fella, white fella coming together and working together. So that's the premise of where we're going. So that's the site in a nutshell. Pete's been fighting the court system for 5 years. He's represented 60, 70, 80 times, self-represented in the magistrates, the districts, the Supreme and the Federal Court. He's lobbed a few hot items in there, which they just keep handballing from desk to desk to desk. Has made a few high-ranking people in certain positions admit that they uphold their secret society oaths over their oaths of public office. Everything's played out, laid on the table, plainly open and transparent for everyone to see. Full lawful process has been followed, but it resulted in the situation we had the other week. So, assumably a lot of you saw the media version of what happened. How that sort of instigated was initially, when was it? It was about 2020. The establishment for younger persons protection turned up to try and remove a child from a mother with no grounds, with no evidence. That process was followed, proper lawful process in terms of writing affidavits, issuing them out. A month after the fact, the establishment came back and said, oh, hey, you're right, there's no evidence for us to be here. It was unwarranted. So that then steps into potential child abduction. So Pete made a phone call to the local police station to report the crime, and under section 3W of the Crimes Act 1914 said, 3Z of the Crimes Act 1914, if the police didn't do their job arresting the criminal, then as a citizen under section 3Z of the Crimes Act, we as a people have the right to perform that arrest, and that was what he stated. So then, they took it as a threat, and next thing we know, we wake up with a bear trap SWAT team truck, 9 to 10 fully armoured assault soldiers, full riot gear, full automatic weapons. They came racing in the driveway. There was 150 plus police on site. If you ever come along to Liston Road, for those that haven't been, for those that have, the whole way up both sides of the road was cop cars. It was a massive, massive overreach and waste of resources for unsubstantiated claims. None of us saw anything presented. None of us saw anything issued. They held us for 5 hours out the front, held us hostage, and were completely unsupervised roaming the property. So who knows what could have gone on. So the lawful process was not followed in any capacity whatsoever. So at present he's still being held, so we're working on getting him to be released for bail. Hopefully that should be Monday. We'll see how we go, but that pretty much brings the state of affairs to where it's at this point in time. In saying that though, I've had a really good at-length chat on several occasions. As much as the media spin the narrative and they are the virus, it's their editors that make them the problem, because they write the script, they control what goes in the footage, gets played. So it's not the actual, necessarily the reporters themselves. Some of them get presented with the evidence. I've just given the reporter from Channel 9 the CDC document where they admit that the virus was created in a test tube so that they could test the test, and that they've retracted the emergency use authorization of the test, as well as a flyer on the information about the test from the guy who created it. So he now has in his hands a copy of the true facts and information. What happens with it, we'll see. So just to further that point, as I was mentioning briefly before, I've had several at-length chats with a journalist from the ABC. His name's Eric, can't remember his surname, but he actually did write a semi-decent story from a neutral standing point on the article online. So he mentioned the fact that we do the community garden and the cultural centre. We have a spiritual group there as well, a lot of focus on emotional and trauma healing as well, so that we can resolve the stuck energies and sit back in our heart space where we should be and move forward from there. So it's all about getting the clear message of truth and approaching from that heart centre to these journalists, appealing to them to do the right thing, as well as the police. And that's what we need to keep doing. So we openly invite the police and we openly invite the media down to the meetings regularly. Do they turn up? No, of course not. So the meetings we hold every Sunday at 12 o'clock. So from 12 to about 1:30, there's networking, shared lunch. We also run the Purities Pathway, which, as I mentioned, is that emotional and trauma healing. Then from 2 o'clock onwards, it's a generalised meeting, and that's every Sunday, 86 Liston Road at Lonsdale. We also run some workshops during the week on Tuesdays and Thursdays, depending on numbers and requirements as to what's needed. Yeah, as I said, we've got the community garden, the cultural centre, so there's plenty happening, and it'd be great to see you guys all come along if you can get there and keep this growing.